You're very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup with me, Paul Brophy. I'm flying solo this evening. Unfortunately, my colleague Roisin Nigrates is not feeling the best, so but we're going to plough on ahead and we're going to keep the momentum going that Roisin has built up uh, with this channel over the last number of years. So today we're talking about a subject that is very, very important for life and for everything else. It's water. Um, 71% of the earth is covered in water, and only 1% of it is drinkable. So means that is a lot of work to get to that stage where water can be drinkable. But water not only is essential for life, it's an essential for infrastructure, particularly housing, and it's also a big issue for our farmers as well. So to talk about water and the entity that is Irish Water, the good and the bad. Um, we have two. We're delighted to be joined by Cork North Central TD, Deputy Ken O'Flynn, who is a TD for the Independent Ireland Party, and prior to getting elected to the Dáil in 2024, Ken was a member of Cork City Council for over over 15, 16 years. Ken, if
Too
I'm
long,
if I'm
too
correct,
too long since 2008. Since 2008,
since
a lifetime.
2008. And also joining us is um, someone that our viewers will be very familiar with is former Fine Gael councillor here in Kilkenny, Patrick O'Neill. Patrick was a Fine Gael councillor from 2014 to 2024, and Pat was also a general election candidate for Fine Gael in the 2020 general election. Gentlemen, you're both very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup.
Thank you very much.
Good to be here, Paul.
Um,
Thanks again.
Absolutely. So water, Pat, I forgot to mention as well, you're also a beef farmer as well here in Kilkenny. So from farmers' point of view, water it's essential for your stock, your obviously your animal stock, but it's also becoming more and more important now with Ireland's nitrates derogation.
Yeah, look, in farming, obviously, number one priority is obviously livestock and drinking water for them and keeping, particularly in times of drought, making sure that they have what they need to keep producing and to look. The beef side of it isn't as intense. The dairy men can often come under more pressure in certain areas in Kilkenny, due to many different reasons and conditions, and depending on where they're based in the county, whether there's water shortages or whatever it may be, because they have washing to do, and dairy cows generally drink more than beef cows due to the nature of their more intense work. But yeah, look, when it comes down to nitrates, obviously environmentally, there's a lot of pressure in Ireland when it comes to improving nitrate levels in our water courses, and that has a big factor when it comes to cap policy across Europe. And Ireland had a nitrates derogation that has been reduced over the last couple of years. And there's threats of it maybe being reduced more, which would which have an even
Yeah,
more detrimental effect on the dairy industry in particular across the country. This all has knock-on effects to many different things, local
yeah.
services, and yeah, like land prices in particular, like dairymen looking for more land now to keep the show on the road or reduce
Yeah,
cows.
Yeah, it's a pretty blunt instrument, and of course, you were a county councillor for over 10 years. What was your experience of dealing with Irish Water, which was first set up around 2013? See, before
Yeah.
we had water services was part of the local authorities, and in 2014 that was all moved into this new entity called Irish Water.
Yeah, and I'm sure Ken can maybe talk about pre-Irish water and how the system worked.
Mm,
Because as I came in, just as the whole thing was kind of kicking off, and it was a mess for the first 2 or 3 years in particular, with because a lot of it was ran by the local authorities at the time, and
yeah.
then when Irish Water came in, it was supposed to be handed over to them, and there was kind of an in between. Nobody knew who was doing what, and it was if there was any water issues, who was going to go out and react to it, and it
Mm,
was a complete disaster. But in general, like, I have found the Irish Water staff that I dealt with in particular quite good, quite knowledgeable,
mm,
wanted to do a lot of things, had great ideas and plans and the needs of the county they knew, but unfortunately it often came out to money. And they just haven't been able to act on any of the projects that they need to do because of lack of funding, pretty much is a lot of it. And general planning is another part of it also too. You know, planning processes are quite long in this country, so all these infrastructure projects are quite hard to get through to the actual start stage. But yeah, it's been it you know it lost the idea of Irish water in principle initially I would have been supportive of, but as it then became more diluted and political pressure came on, the whole thing just became a disaster. It was shredded apart,
Yeah.
and nobody actually gave it any real teeth to do what it needs to do for every town, village, county in Ireland.
We said thank you for your time, and we're going to be interesting to get your
Thank you.
thoughts on Irish water and other subjects as time goes on. And Patrick O'Neill, thank you as always. You're always a very very insightful contributor to the Irish political roundup. So from myself, Paul Brophy, I'd like to say thanks to everyone for taking the time to watch our interview, and I'd also say thank you on behalf of my colleague Roisin Cleric, who couldn't join us this evening, unfortunately. But until next time,
Just wishing Roisin a speedy recovery. I'm sure she'll be back to
absolutely,
fighting form shortly.
absolutely. Thanks a million, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Paul.
God bless.
Brother.